My mother-in-law moved.
Welcome, everyone. It is Tuesday, August 25th, 6:30 p.m. Calling this regular meeting of the Howell Township Planning Commission to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Williams,
I am here.
Stanley,
Here.
Lolio,
Here.
Bowl,
Here.
Holman,
Here.
Alchin,
Here.
Bonello.
Here.
Good. Full house today. Please rise and join us in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Commissioners, our first item up is the approval of tonight's agenda. Do we have any corrections or edits or additions we wish to add before we get underway?
Mr. Chair, if we could make a 12C and allow that for any data center discussion. Maybe hold everything until that point for anything about that.
Okay. Yes, we haven't really touched upon the data center ordinance plan recently, so we can certainly add that under item C under new business. Or, no, not under new business, item C, separate from new business. Any opposition? Okay.
In that case, I'd make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Ball, second from Ms. Bolio, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, next up are the minutes from our prior meeting. I looked these over, nothing really jumped off the page at me. I know others look at this a little more exactly than I do, Sharon.
Actually, Mr. Chair. Under scheduled public hearings, it said none, and then motion by Bowl to deviate from the agenda and place that as our next item of business if possible. I just think we should probably identify what that next business was.
Right.
And I know it was a clunky motion, but I think I did mention it was the Graham Real Estate PC number.
Yeah, then we moved that up and down on the agenda from,
We did deviate from it, yes. I think we should just deviate or specify what the deviation was for. Doesn't really say.
yeah, where's that at?
It's under new business, number 1.
There it is. Okay, brief edit to the minutes to specify what Mr. Bowl had suggested we change.
Also under Township Board Report, just a typo, engine brake should be BRAKE. Last sentence.
Oh, right.
It's easy to do.
It is. The last two from your time to print it?
That's all I could come up with.
Very good. Okay, hearing nothing else, we'll move on to our initial call to the public.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Sorry, yes, ma'am.
We go back to that?
I'll support that.
Is that
Right here.
Motion from Mr. Ball, second from Mr. Stanley. All in favor of approving the minutes with minor edits?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Now we're on to our initial call to the public. And this is not the public hearing portion of the agenda. That's a couple lines down regarding the request for rezoning. This is more of a general call to the public. If you have any comments or thoughts you wish to share with us, please step up to the mic, state your name and address, and let's hear it.
John Mills, 1750 Oak Grove Road. Please remind me what the procedure is for notification of adjacent property owners when there is an issue on the agenda on a property that perhaps in this case you share a property line with. I used to kind of know that. Weren't you supposed to get notified if you were within 300 feet or 500 feet or something of an agenda item property? How's that work?
I believe it is 300 feet, sir, for properties that are being rezoned. Is that correct?
Yes.
That being followed? Apparently not.
I was notified when one was being rezoned near my house. I don't send out the notices, so I don't know.
As far as you know, the system's working.
Honestly, sir, this is the first I've heard it isn't.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wish to partake? Seeing none, we shall close our initial call to the public. Zoning Board of Appeals report. We had no meeting, there is no report. Our Township Board report. Anything exciting, Tim, or of interest to us?
On August 10th, we had a board meeting and we learned that the township is involved in a new lawsuit, Michigan Durant LLC versus Howell Township. And it involves an access or a road that's currently platted but not developed yet. And it was at, some of you may remember, Agape Church site plan where they had the road going out to the name of the complex. Transwest. One of the property owners in Transwest want to basically take the road over to build some of their, or build a building on it. So we don't know any, that's still in process, correct? It's just been filed and I don't believe they have any hearing dates until next year, so it's gonna be a while. But just so, I know when Agape site plan came up, we talked about extending that road out to Transwest as an overflow. And their traffic study at this point didn't warrant it, but we kept it there as a possibility of something in the future that we might need. So we'll see how that turns out. Other than that, as far as zoning is concerned, there was more discussion on the engine brake ordinance. We got some pardon me? That one's very too, isn't it? We're not at the board report, though. We had some conversations with the road commission and about getting some signs placed. Basically, we have to have an ordinance in place that fits it, and then we need to have some enforcement by the sheriff's department. There were going to be some consultation with our township attorney to see if our existing nuisance ordinance would cover it. That's still pending. Other than that, that was about it, I believe. Were there any questions anybody had? No?
No, sir, thank you. Compliance violation report. It seems to be getting shorter, Jonathan.
Sometimes.
Maybe you're using a smaller font. I think there is a new one filed here just in July. Oh, right. We can't have the newer Fed modifiers.
It's a bit of an issue.
Who knew?
Yep.
Do we have any questions or concerns regarding the coding enforcement list? I did see that there's some, it's in progress with Hasselhoff on the billboard.
There was progress on the billboard. It also made us look closer at the ordinance, and we identified all the billboards in the township. I've sent letters to all of them to get back into compliance with the ordinance.
Well, ballpark, how many is it? Is it like 3 or 30 or?
I think it was 9. I'd have to go back and look at how many for sure.
See, you have some highlights there, Sharon, anything?
Nothing that you guys haven't already heard before.
Still working on it,
Well
Sharon.
done.
We're still working on it.
Okay, if nothing further, we'll move on to our scheduled public hearing for request of rezoning parcel 4706-21-300-028, which is vacant land on Grand River Avenue. Changing it from an industrial flex zone to a neighborhood service commercial zone. We have some guidelines regarding the public hearing, and I'm going to read out the introduction here right quick. At this time, we'll open the public hearing for the parcel number I just read off, from industrial flex to neighborhood service commercial. We'll start with reports from the township consultants, followed by a presentation from the applicant. The planning commission may ask the applicant or township consultants questions as they pertain to their presentation or reports, but will refrain on the deliberation of the application until the item comes up on the agenda. Next, we will open up the floor to comments from the public. If you wish to address the commission when recognized, please provide your name and address. Also, ensure that you have signed the sign-in sheet. All remarks are to be addressed to the commission, not to anyone else in the room. This is not a back and forth or a question and answer session. This is an opportunity for members of the public to provide insight, voice concerns, or ask questions. We understand that the topic may be personal for you, but we do ask that you be respectful to everyone. We also ask that you keep your comments brief and to the point so that everyone has an opportunity to speak. Each person should limit their comments to 3 minutes. Please try to keep your comments brief to respect everyone's time. The planning commission will then try to address all comments and questions as they relate to this application during their deliberation of the item when it comes up on the agenda. So that's the long and short of it, folks. So, Mr. Hall, what's the issue?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You do have a report that we provided in your packet, and I will briefly go over the details. As you noted, this is a rezoning application from industrial flex zone to neighborhood service commercial. It's located at the southeast corner of Burkhart and West Grand River. The applicant has indicated their intent to build a gas station with a convenience store at this site if the rezoning were to go through. As always, recognize that any use in that neighborhood service commercial district that's permitted by right could be established there if the rezoning went through, if their site plan met the criteria in the zoning ordinance. Gas station is a special land use, so it would have to go through the special land use procedures. But again, any of those uses or special uses could then be applied for if this rezoning were to go through. The site is approximately 2.2 acres. It's currently vacant. It's surrounded on the south and east sides with other industrial flex zoned properties that have similar type uses, the propane station and I believe a garage use to the south. To the east, to the west on the other side of Burkhart is vacant land and then industrial buildings. Immediately to the north is the bus facility and the airport. And then northwest across the intersection is land that is zoned local commercial. And there is, as you all probably recall, a update to the roadhouse plan there. So the subject site is currently zoned industrial flex. It's planned for industrial flex. So the future land use plan, as you can see on page 4 of our report, indicates that everything on that south side of West Grand River is planned for industrial flex. The intent behind that industrial flex zone is to allow for the development of uses that would be consistent with other uses in the district, allowing for a variety of uses that are either light industrial or quasi-commercial, but could be housed in the same or similar type building or format. So it focuses more on the form of those buildings because they might transition from time to time to be used for a variety of different things throughout history. As I noted, that neighborhood service is not consistent with what the future land use plan and the master plan indicates. So with all rezonings, the zoning ordinance suggests that the planning commission should go through findings that are in section 23.02D5 of the zoning ordinance. And there are findings A through D, the first of which has to do with whether or not the proposed zoning would be consistent with the policies in the master plan. As I noted, this is not consistent with the future land use plan. Whether the uses allowed under the proposed rezoning would be compatible with the other uses. Surrounding uses on the south side of West Grand River are either light industrial or industrial flex zone type uses or planned for that. So this gas station may not be consistent with that. Whether the public facilities or services are adequately provided in this area. We do note that a gas station, while a gas station is not a traffic generator, it will in fact generate more turning movements throughout the day than a typical use that would go into the industrial flex zone. And then finally, whether the uses allowed under the proposed rezoning would be equally or better suited for the area than others allowed in the current or future land use. So again, the plan is to develop that area with those flex zone uses. We do note that there are 2 gas stations, one down Grand River to the east and one, at least one, down South Burkhart. So if you're coming from that direction, going in either direction, you're going to hit a gas station. So the need is presumably taken care of in the area already. That concludes our report, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, I did have one question for Paul, before we move on. I usually like to wait, but just so we're clear, this is not a conditional rezone.
Correct.
Because on page 5, it says the applicant has submitted an application for conditional rezoning in the bottom paragraph. Under rezoning procedure.
I apologize. That is
So this is just a general rezoning, so it can be any of the uses in NS.
correct. There are no conditions.
I just wanted to clarify that before we went any
That
further.
is a separate process, separate procedure, and this is not that, so I apologize.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you. That was it, Mr. Chair.
Are there any concerns with, is it a wellhead protected area?
I don't believe it's in the wellhead protections.
Okay. Okay, do we have the applicant? Sir? Welcome.
Thank you. I actually bought this property that was for sale for a gas station. They had signs that it was available for a gas station. Okay?
Really?
Yes. And I came up to the township here before I did put any offers on it. And I asked if the zoning permits a gas station. And I was told that yes, it did. I was given a sheet and it was showed the color of that zoning was available for gas station and service. So I left and I didn't buy it at that same time. Later, I went and bought the property. And when I thought about putting a gas station there, I came up here and asked for the zoning again, just to make sure it was still available for gas station. And I was told it was been changed. And I'm here to rezone it, to take it back to that rezoning. In fact, I own the gas station down the street. I'm the mobile gas station next to the hotel.
Okay.
I've been there 29 years. So, I'm not necessarily putting a gas station there, I might put a gas station there, but I do wanna do, I want it to be available for a gas station, an oil change, a car wash, or a service, mechanic service, shop.
You know when that parcel was rezoned?
I don't have it in front of me now.
I wouldn't have thought that was the case, but. So the applicant or the owner at that time would have had to rezone before they would have sold it, right? Somebody would have had to.
So when was Industrial Flex first?
And I think that, I don't know what the time frame was, but we used to have a heavy commercial that Industrial Flex replaced.
Sir, if you, when did you purchase the property? Do you recall?
Years ago,
Was it 2 years?
2 years.
Okay. I think it was changed to Industrial Flex before that.
16, I think.
Was it 16? Okay.
17 maybe, whenever the zoning, after the master plan was adopted in 16 or 17, then the zoning was updated shortly thereafter.
When
So-
was the propane, built? It was right after.
Hamilton propane there? I have no idea.
They purchased the 6 acres, they put the propane in the storage, and they left the front 2 acres for sale.
Okay.
And that's, they put signs up, as available for gas station. It concerned me, because I had a gas station down the street. So
Sure.
I came up here and asked if it was zoned, someone come by, put a gas station, and they said yes. And I went and bought it, so it stopped someone from, putting a gas station down the street from me.
Okay.
That's what happened.
The only thing I would, because I know that Industrial Flex was not recent, but it's been at least 8 to 10 years probably.
Looks like 2019, I guess.
19?
Yeah.
So about 7 years ago, there was a rezoning in there, so that's probably when that got changed.
It's true.
But it was definitely longer than 2 years ago, so. And do we know what it was previously zoned, Paul? Would you have that information?
I'm trying to figure that out, but I do suspect, like Jonathan said, it was probably heavy commercial.
Heavy commercial, okay.
So do you feel that there would be enough business on that to warrant? I mean, have you done a study?
Yes, I did study it traffic-wise, and, yeah, it could be a good site for a gas station, yes.
Okay, and your, I'm not familiar with your other station, but what kind of market is it? Is it just like food market, or is it like the?
It will be something with food in it, yes. Like a franchise,
Like a franchise,
like a Dunkin' Donuts
Okay, that's
in the
fine.
gas station, or Tim Hortons, something like that, yes. That we don't have in the area.
So you're talking about the mobile further north on Grand River, you also own that one?
I own that one.
So
yes.
you're
Since
very
99.
familiar with what your business, do you think that our area has room for another gas station in there?
I think
7-Eleven's down the street and we have the truck stop over there too, so,
McDonald's, I know.
so And I drove through your gas station before I got here, just to, and that was one of my questions, actually, was I wonder how busy it really, so you've done your
I'm
research.
pretty busy,
Okay.
yes, since I've been there.
But you're not sure if you would actually go to a gas station? What else would you I know you mentioned a few things, but
You want to put a gas station, a car wash, and then a quick loop, oil change. So we wouldn't have no oil change in our Fowlerville, all that stretch. We gotta go all the way down to Holland, get an oil change, or the one across the street from Beaches.
so,
Well, there's Marshall's there, and there's, the, Old Glory Car Wash across the street too, so there's that.
Oh, for car washes?
Car wash and oil change, yeah.
Man, yeah, I know.
have you gotten any type of word from the road commission? Because it's a traffic, the way the driveways would have to come out, because you're dealing with Grand River and Burkhart right there. Your lot isn't necessarily really large, 2.2 acres, I believe. Have you gotten any feedback from the road commission where your driveways would have to be and how that would play into a site plan at all?
I haven't yet, but it seems like there had been like an easement there for a driveway, both ways, Grand River and.
You don't know how far back from the intersection itself, though?
30 feet off the road, I think. I'm not sure. I didn't ask.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause traffic moves through there pretty quickly. You'd have to have like a deceleration lane. or
Yeah, I
something.
have them at my station.
There's a traffic light there, so there's brakes for. cars
Yeah,
to
well,
get
that's not the safest intersection, because it's not a, it's at an angle. Before they put that light there, I can't tell you how many accidents are on that corner.
You can have the rain, there's the cross. How does this fit into the IFZ funds? I see that it allows for, let's see, large format commercial uses, or industrial or large format commercial uses, but on a 2.2 acre parcel, you're really not talking about a large format anything.
So large format refers to just kind of the size or scale of the building. So it might be more like, I think an example could be when we developed the ordinance, we were thinking about some of these commercial uses that would go into like a pole barn style building or a larger ceiling. I think an example could be like I want to say there's like not a fun house, but farther down the street, there's like a Zap Zone kind of adventure type of place.
I think that shut down.
It got shut down, but like gymnastic studios will sometimes go into a place like this because they need taller ceilings. So it could be those kind of, but it could also then function as some kind of light manufacturing type of facility as well.
So under permitted special use for industrial flex, it says retail sales and wholesale of parts, equipment, and supplies for plumbing, electrical, building and construction, furnace and air conditioning, home appliance, outdoor and indoor recreation, gardening, and landscaping, amongst other things. So I mean,
Wasn't it like a car salesman in there?
there was places for a used car lot or a vehicle, but I think that might be under special uses.
Did you develop any kind of site plan or anything for
Not yet.
traffic flow?
Mr. Chair, maybe we should open the public hearing if no one else has any questions for the applicant at this moment.
One quick question.
Okay.
Was that part of the Hamilton propane parcel, was it split off from it or?
Yes,
Okay. So they just developed their parcel, split that little
Yes.
corner off?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we have no further questions for the applicant. Thank you, sir.
thank you. Appreciate it.
We now open the microphone to our public members. Does anyone have any, comments, concerns? Thoughts?
Hi. Angela Barbash at 4211 Crandall. I go through this intersection a lot, and our family had a really robust debate at the dinner table about whether we liked the idea of a gas station going in there. Not excited about the traffic jam-ish, situation we would probably get with a gas station at that corner. But I can say that we go east on Grand River a lot. And even though there's a gas station and a car wash and a service center just west on Grand River, we never go there. So from our perspective, there's not a car wash unless we go up Burkhart to the one at Highland and Burkhart. Or if we go all the way down Grand River, we eventually get to Drip and the new Mr. or something at the corner of Latson in Grand River. It's pretty far. And the other thing that would be great is a Tim Hortons. We're big Tim Hortons fans. And again, unless we go east down Highland or go all the way to Latson, we got to go pretty far if we want to get Tim Hortons. I had a question also. I remember reading a news article, maybe in WHMI or Livingston Daily, about the Wrangler Saloon being redone as a restaurant. And that was what was the plan, and that a plan had already been submitted for that. And so we were a little confused when we were reading the report, because we're like, well, how could a restaurant have gone in there anyway if it's industrial flex zone, and now it's being asked to change it to a neighborhood service commercial? So I was just a little confused on that. Was that ever a plan, or was that just something that the press was talking about as a hopeful thing? And if it was a plan, how did that work? How did that become a plan if it's zoned industrial flex? And that would just help me understand zoning a little bit better. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Any other participants? Hearing none. We shall close the public hearing portion of this.
Mr. Chair, I did have a question for our zoning administrator, because I've had heard several rumors, just like Angela just mentioned, about Wranglers. I heard that was off now, or is it just being delayed? Are they still planning on building the site plan that we approved?
Don't know. They did demolish the structure,
Sure.
but they haven't said whether they're gonna move forward or not.
But it is still valid.
The expiration's coming up pretty soon. I don't know the exact date.
Okay. And just to clarify, Kitty Corner, that is commercial, correct? From that intersection?
Yeah, so the northwest corner where the Wrangler Saloon restaurant was proposed or has been approved for a site plan is zone local commercial.
Okay.
Which
does allow a restaurant.
Which does allow restaurants. The subject site is on the southeast corner.
Okay. So,
Maybe we should say that again in answer to the question that was asked at the podium, if you'd like. The northwest corner is where the Wranglers restaurant is proposed. The southeast corner is the subject site.
Yeah, we were all confused.
Yeah, we figured it out.
Okay.
Takes us a while.
it's where the old building was everyone complained about for the longest time. It's finally gone. But we don't know, because I know that site plan was approved 3 years
Yeah,
ago?
they had some pretty big plans for that. It was
Yeah.
gonna be quite the establishment, but.
So I do know that part of their issue was working through stormwater concerns with the drain office. And if I'm correct, Jonathan, that was their big kind of,
I believe they actually worked through that. So I don't know if there were other issues that came up through the process or not, but they had several issues they had to work through.
It seemed like they put a lot of work to get to where they were, so I don't know what might have changed, but I know it's kind of a question that's asked all the time, is what's going in there, so.
so as I mentioned during my report, I would encourage you all as part of your deliberations to go through those findings, and any decision that you make tonight, make based on those findings.
so just talking about this, and you have a homeowner, he did mention that he kind of thought that this would be a benefit. I mean, like, when I look at the neighborhood service commercial, to me, to be able to go to a market and grab something really quick, it is like a neighborhood service for me. You know, if we're talking about like gas stations and stuff, but he owns a gas station and he still feels that he thinks that he could make that business work. I guess I'm not maybe struggling with it, maybe some other people are here, but I think it- neighborhood service, if I have a food market and gas, and it kind of fits for what I might want.
What are some examples of other things that would fit into a neighborhood service? Because this is a rezone, so
It can be any
it
of
could
those.
be
numbers.
anything that would fit with that, right?
Is there any way we can put that up there, Jonathan, easily? I don't, I have it here, but I can't. And we can read them off, but.
I'm happy to read through them if that's helpful.
If you like, I noticed there was some similarities with industrial flex. But
The permitted principal uses, and these would be permitted by right. Oh, look at that. Before I even started reading, he's got it there.
But I think if we go up into the purpose, 901, can we get there? Go up a little bit? And then we can go down to what it was actually allowed, I think.
So I have a question. Is there a way for, if somebody was approaching us like the applicant to say, I'm actually not going to rezone it, just leave it as it is, but use one of these permitted uses? Could they do that within the IFC, industrial flex zone?
If it's not a use that's permitted in the IF zoning district, then no, they could not.
They could not.
And I believe gas station is only allowed in this one, is that correct?
Yeah.
NSC?
Yeah.
And I think it's a special use, so.
That's correct.
Right.
And the regional service.
Is it RSC too?
I believe, and I think highway service as well. It's permitted by right in highway service, it's a conditional use in regional service, and it's a conditional use in a neighborhood.
So the commercial classification is similar to NSC?
I'm sorry.
So so we have commercial written on our zoning maps. correct?
Mhm.
Is that, could it be NSC, RSC, highway services?
Oh, if you're talking about the future land use map?
I mean, would that commercial be kind of a fit all for those?
I believe so. I believe there's this distinction specifically for the highway though, because that's supposed to be closer to the highway interchange.
Could we see what is that list, but for IFC, just to compare the two?
I think an important part for the board here is that directly across the street, kitty corner, is the zoning that would be equivalent to what they want. It's not like other rezonings that have come in front of us that are way off. They're not neighboring, so.
I mean, it isn't a high traffic area, so it would certainly serve.
The size of the parcel, the location.
So we can't get too much into a site plan because he doesn't know what he wants. It's not conditional. So I think obviously if it's rezoned, we have to put one of those things in, but it's gonna be a site plan issue. And that's gonna be how willing the applicant is to work with us depending on what he brings forth, so.
It's very interesting, like this says retail sales, that's not far off from what is being proposed.
No.
No, but if it's a mechanic, if it's a auto shop, that's a little different, so. If you have Dunkin' Donuts there, that's one thing, but if you have a mechanic shop with a bunch of cars,
But he could sell HVAC equipment there
yeah, so.
now.
And I think the size of the parcel has something to say with this too. You know, it's limited what you can put there.
Sure.
As such, I think it's more suited for temporary use. People come in, get gas, grab a coffee and a donut, and get on their way. It's not as if you're gonna be parking for a large number of people to be there. It's transitory traffic.
And he
Agree with you,
mentioned
Wayne.
he mentioned oil changes. I think it's just not just oil.
Yeah.
That's like
That's a perfect location for that corner.
So my concern would be the traffic at that intersection, but without a site plan, we don't know exactly what would be there. I think that is something we would have to address at a site plan issue, so I think at this point, we just need to decide we need to go through the findings, and we can do that when everybody's ready, if everyone feels they are. But whether or not that would be a good fit for something like the applicant is proposing, a gas station, a Dunkin' Donuts, Tim Hortons or whatever, at that intersection.
Well, site plan approval would have to be, we'd have to prove that too, right?
Yep.
When it comes through, so.
Yep. Personally, I think it's a high visibility corner. I would like something aesthetically pleasing if anything goes in there. This is just throwing it out there, right? So, I think you recently redid your station further up on Grand River, right? Yeah, I think it's pretty nice up there, so.
And also, just food for thought, really, it's not in a dense residential area, so it's not as if traffic going in and out of there is gonna be disturbing neighbors. Headlights shining through the windows. So I think it's a good site for what he proposes. That said,
Yep.
changing the zoning doesn't mean it has to be a gas station donut shop. It can be anything that fits in.
Yep.
That's C. And that's kind of the catch that we run into with these requests. And someone can come in and say, I want to put up a kitten sanctuary, and then they build a warehouse.
However, that could be allowed there now, right?
Yeah.
Under IFZ
Yeah, oh, exactly.
or IFC.
Yeah, so if you look at the future land use plan, I think the intent in this area was that there would be a chunk of land that was set aside for those types of uses, not to try to, the goal was not to, and here it is here, it was not to try to protect neighbors from headlights, obviously, because it's zoned for a heavier use than local commercial. The local commercial areas are pocketed kind of around the residential districts. You can see the heavy red is the highway commercial down by the highway. The slightly less heavy red is the general commercial, which is in that area south of the highway. And then it's a little hard to see, but the kind of peach color is the local commercial, and you can see little pockets of that scattered throughout the residential areas. And as somebody noted before, the intent is to provide for, those local commercial needs. Through the site planning process, obviously, we would look at the immediately adjacent surroundings. If there's headlight concerns, we deal with that with site plan details. But, the intent for this zoning, I don't think, was to protect neighbors from nuisances, because it is kind of this concentrated area south of West Grand River. But, I think you will all make your points as you go through, and if you use those findings, is this use better suited are the uses allowed within this district better suited than what's currently there or what's planned there?
So in looking, what we were just looking at, like industrial flex and neighborhood service commercial, if I lived in that area, I would be okay to zone something neighborhood service commercial. So I think that even if we did agree to it, with what I was looking at, if I lived in the area, I would be pretty much agreeable to anything I saw out there. Let me ask you this, Paul, because I don't really know. What is specific zoning for gas stations? Like, does it fall into, like, how, like, where do gas stations typically fall in any of these descriptions?
So the highway commercial that's closest to the highway, kind of that bright red area that you see there, they're permitted by right. General commercial, or I can't remember what it's called specifically, the regional service commercial, it's also a special land use, and in local commercial, it's a special land use. So recognizing that gas stations can bring with them some additional traffic and activity that might not be as conducive to being right next door to residents, but they're, obviously as a conditional use, you can place conditions and do a little bit more with the site plan process to ensure its compatibility.
Well, we can go through the, list.
One quick other point I think is worth considering is, this parcel was split off from Hamilton Propane's property. So I would suspect that when it was zoned IFZ, it was intended for Hamilton Propane's property,
The whole thing to
and
be,
not this little 2.2 acre slice of.
I think this has been split for quite some time. I think when Hamilton Propane developed their site plan, that piece was already split off.
Okay.
But I do think the 2.2 acres will limit it for anything in the industrial flex zone. It's not
Yeah.
to stay empty for an extremely long
I
time.
think there's a
agree
lot of
with you.
similar uses too, that go between the two, so.
But it's a good location for a gas station or a donut
Would
place,
fast food place or whatever, yeah.
so.
So are we ready to go through the findings? Is everyone ready? Anybody want to read
Yes.
them?
Yes, sir.
I'll do it. I mean, okay.
No, I know, I'm gonna read it.
All right. Number A, whether the rezoning is consistent with the policies and uses proposed for that area in the township master land use plan. And Paul wrote in here that the proposed rezoning is not consistent with the policy and uses in the master plan as the site is categorized as industrial flex. The parcels to the southeast and west are categorized as industrial flex as well. The parcel to the north is categorized as airport. These are parcels designated as local. There are parcels designated as local commercial to the northwest, which I think we talked about is where the Wrangler site is. So kitty corner from there. So my thought on this is I think I've already mentioned it, that it's actually bordering a similar zoning. Does it match the master plan? I believe, no, it doesn't, but I think that might be one of
Suits the purpose.
It's not too far out of the realm of possibilities, so. Do we have any other comments, questions?
As you said, I think it's worth noting that literally across the street is a local commercial. So I'd say that would indicate that's appropriate for that general area, just not appropriate for the current zone.
I agree.
Agree with you, Wayne.
We're all good with that one? All right.
Yes.
Moving on to B, whether all uses allowed under the proposed rezoning would be compatible with other zones and uses in the surrounding area. I think we've pretty much decided that there's pretty much similars between IFZs and NSCs. Whether any public services or facilities would be significantly adversely impacted by development or use allowed under the requested rezoning. Paul mentions in here, the use permitted in NSC will generate more hourly traffic movements at the corner of West Grand River Avenue and North Burkhart Road. I think that would be true for anything that goes in there. Since we have no site plan, we don't know exactly what that would be. I think that would be something to be addressed at that point.
Mr. Bull, can I ask a quick question to Paul? To his point about traffic, do you see an increase in traffic for IFC compared to NSC? Is there a difference just in general zoning?
As I mentioned during my report, I believe specifically gas stations are not really traffic generators. They siphon off traffic that's already going by. So there may be some more destination kind of retail uses that could go in a neighborhood service, but I think in general, the intent for any neighborhood service is that they're just picking up traffic that's going to and from people's homes anyway.
Anybody else? Corey, were you good?
I think the traffic concerns too, that'll be worked out with the road commission, right? I mean, they'll have to take a look at any site plan.
That's,
Pull out onto the street. Cause when Grand River's at an angle and you're pulling straight out, you're cranking your neck to look down the road, or you gotta turn perpendicular to Grand River to see both ways, so that'd be resolved in a site plan. I'm sure the road
Right.
commission would address that.
And the last one is D, whether the uses allowed under the proposed rezoning would be equally or better suited to the area than uses allowed under the current zoning of the land. And Paul writes, the proposed rezoning would not be better suited for the area because it does not align with the policies and uses proposed in the master plan. I think we've touched on that too. There's some similars.
How do we work through that point? It doesn't quite fit the master plan, but we might think that it fits well with the actual local traffic and what the people.
These are only suggestions on my part. You guys do your own deliberation and come up with your own decisions.
And I think that's what we're trying to do as we go through
Well,
each
the
one.
discussion on the master plan right now is to fixing it, cause it's broken. We all know that, so.
It could use improvement.
And unfortunately, IFZ keeps coming up in that conversation, right? So, I don't know what the fix for that might be but it's worth looking at.
Well, I think that a 2.2 acre parcel, changing it over to NSC, isn't gonna result in a department store being put in. You know, it's a small parcel, there's a limit to what can physically be put in there. And again, we have to review the site plan before it's approved to be constructed anyhow, so there is still some steps further, but, there's no point in providing a site plan until there's a possibility moving forward.
Agree with you.
So I would be in favor of changing this 2.2 acre parcel from IFZ, which very well could remain vacant, to an NSC that's to benefit to the community. And for those folks that work in the industrial areas down further down the road, and further west on Grand River, that's an easy access gas station for them, for lunches, for commuting fuel, you know, it's a, you know, if you're working in the area, it's nice to have a place like that nearby. Of course, there is one nearby, it's just the other direction.
We don't need a donut shop there. In my neighborhood.
If we were to change it, does it set any precedent at all for the township? I don't know that it would, I just same question. Does it do anything, does it challenge any prior decisions we've made in any way? That would cause
I think each case is individually taken into
Review.
consideration. Paul, would that be a correct?
That's an interesting concern.
I think that if you were doing it arbitrarily, it could, but the consistency with the future land use plan is one test, or as one finding. I think as long as you make your motion based on a sound set of deliberations and findings, you can be okay. You know, and you all have mentioned a number of reasons for the decisions you're making on each criteria. So as long as you reference those, I think during your motion. Obviously, the future land use plan is a big key when looking at rezonings, but you did recognize that there is one quadrant of this intersection is planned for local commercial, neighborhood commercial. I think you talked about the finding that the uses that were allowed for an NSC might be better suited for this site because of the size of the site and the location of the intersection. It's not really changing the intensity or the character of the general area because it is just that one piece at the corner. So I think you're always subject to challenge if you go against your future land use plan, but I think if you put the right decision-making and deliberation behind all of these findings, you could be okay.
Okay, well, very good. I think we've, we've fleshed this out pretty thoroughly.
I'm not gonna take a stab at that one, but I appreciated hearing from somebody who actually lives in the area that they were supportive of it. That means a lot to me to know what some of the community did.
I just want to know if it's an oil change, can we still get donuts?
Delivered to you while you're waiting.
I think if you get your oil change, you get a free. No coupon required.
I'll take a shot at putting a motion. I would submit a motion for parcel number 4706-21-300-028 to modify the zoning, the current zoning from industrial flex zone to neighborhood service commercial. For the reasons discussed this evening, that I need to flesh on any further.
A second.
I just not sure, do we need to reference that?
Yeah, I feel we should reference.
I think we have to
the
reference.
Adjacent property that
Okay,
fits
very well.
within the NSC, and then the size of the parcel being 2.2 acres. Not necessarily suited for items that would fit in the IFC.
Let me rephrase that. Proposed motion to approve rezoning from industrial flex zone to neighborhood service commercial for parcel number 4706-21-300-028. This decision is based upon the neighboring property that is a current neighborhood service commercial zoning, and that the size of this particular parcel has limited accommodations for industrial or medium or heavy commercial use.
Can we include similar uses between the two zonings, between IFC and NSC?
There are some similarity, some crossover between IFC and NSC.
It's RS.
Obviously not every business is named in either zone, but there could be similar businesses in the IFC that would also work in an NSC. One that's mentioned the car lot.
Mr. Williams,
Like in close?
I don't know if it matters or not, but the property, I think you referenced is RSC, not NSC?
Thank you for the correction, sir. Friendly amendment. It is properly referenced in the same quadrant is RSC and not NSC.
It is NSC. The Wranglers property?
Wranglers RSC.
NSC. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong intersection. Right. My fault.
Almost had a way out.
Both are commercial, however.
They are both commercial properties, right? Or one is and one's proposed to be. So without any further friendly amendment, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All
right.
Mr. Holman,
Yes.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Look forward to seeing your site plan, sir. Okay, our next item is the MSU Extension Discretionary Standards Common Special Land Use Case Law, Satkowski versus Township of Beaver.
You guys asked for educational stuff. Found some, provided it.
Was there any specific reasoning for this one, or was this one you found? It looked like businesses being ran and,
It's MSU puts out their letter from MSU Extension. It was a good little thing about special land use. And I know it's a long case, but it's a good one.
I made it about halfway through, Jonathan, before my eyes crossed, my brain just shut down, but it was a long work day, you know, it's, I will review it in further detail because I do think it's valuable. I think the special land use considerations, where is the township of Beaver?
I didn't look it up.
I've never heard of it. I wasn't even sure it was in Michigan, but I saw it was a state of Michigan in Fallon Court.
I know where Beaverton's at. That might be within it, just north of Sanford Lake, northwest of Midland.
Okay.
Maybe that's the same place.
Well, commissioners, I encourage you to review.
There's that too.
Memorize this decision.
there's a lot there to memorize.
Okay, moving forward, 12A, old business. We have none here. Then to new business. First item up is a preliminary site plan review of Pineview Village Phase 2. What can you tell us about this one, Paul?
So this is a site plan that's been submitted for a multifamily development with a frozen computer. So I'm gonna wing a little bit of this. Oh wait, here we go. The project includes 6 new townhome buildings that will contain 4 units each for 24 units. Each townhome has 2 bedrooms. This is on approximately 8.45 acres. This is north of the existing development in that area. I believe there are 68 existing homes that have been developed in a similar fashion. It's all located on private drives. This is kind of a crescent shape over the north side of that existing Pineview development. While they do have frontage on, is it Burkhart there? They would be taking access from M59 through the existing development. It seems very consistent with what's existing there. They are respecting the existing wetlands that are in the area. There's a substantial amount of woodlands and wetlands on the east side of the site, and then there are some pockets on the west side of the site. So the development as being shown would not impact the existing wetlands It does seem like a logical extension of the existing development. We do recognize that they are proposing structures within the setback that's on the north side of the site, so the patios that they're showing do encroach into that setback area. They have proposed a boundary adjustment with the lot to the north, which I believe they own as well. And instead of moving the entire north line north, they're just doing a little cutout. We're suggesting that it would be cleaner if they move the entire north line. They are doing an off-site stormwater facility with an easement on that parcel as well. They're providing 2 parking spaces for each unit and garages. So it appears that they're meeting their parking requirements. The driveways themselves appear to be 20 feet long, which is the minimum that we would recommend for a driveway so that cars don't overhang into the sidewalk area. They're just doing sidewalk on one side of the proposed drive there, which is consistent with the rest of the development. Landscaping seems to be, I'm sorry, they are requesting a waiver from some of the landscaping requirements, so that's something that the township, the board, planning commission could approve if you determine that what they have existing is meeting the intent of the landscape requirements. No new signage. It provided floor plans and elevations. So we would just recommend that, first of all, that property line be moved to accommodate the patios, and then address any of the outstanding items from the township engineer and issues that might be cited from the fire chief, and obtain all of their outside agency approvals through the final site plan process. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
So the patios are subject to the setback for the rear lot line?
So based on the language in the ordinance, all structures have to be outside of the setback, and the way the definition of structures is written, that would qualify.
So the piece they're cutting out from the property they own adjacent. Why do you want to, why should it be the full line as opposed to a cutout? So any reasoning for it?
It just, in our opinion, it's cleaner to have a straight line when you're dealing with a development like this.
Okay, I thought as much, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't making a bad assumption.
Yeah.
Any further questions for Paul from the group? Hearing none. Turn it over to the applicant.
Good evening.
Welcome.
I'm Brendan Vanway with Boss Engineering. Also here tonight is Michael Bernard, the KMF brewer. Michael is the owner of the property, and he's the owner of the property to the north, which was previously approved as Brewer Meadows. Here this evening to request the preliminary site plan approval. As Paul kind of alluded to, this is our first step in the process of approvals. We do have to go to the agencies, come back to you, find the site plan. So we have a long road ahead of us, but this is the first step. This plan is a little bit different than the original plan. I was actually here 25 years ago, almost 25 years ago, for the original Pineview Village approvals. We're now, instead of the potential 68 units that were approved on the same roughly 1.5 acres, we're now proposing 24 units. So significantly less dense. We're preserving all of the east portion, which abuts Brewer Road, as open space. The wetlands, as Paul mentioned, are not being impacted. Those were recently delineated. They were obviously delineated 25 years ago as well. So we do have just a minor road extension coming off to the west, and that will accommodate the westerly 3 buildings. And it's a pretty straightforward proposal. We will kick out to the north this cutout area to be sure that those patios and indoor decks will be within the property outside the setback. just the cutout because that preserves more of the Brewer, Meadows property. And as everybody knows, in the RM zoning, it's the density is based on the gross acreage, so, so we would like to do that. We will need to extend it a little bit further north, but, that would accommodate those patios and decks. Also, from a stormwater standpoint, we have met with the Drain Commissioner's office, and we're proposing a stormwater basin here, and that will be shared with the Brewer Meadows development does occur. So we will have an easement here for the benefit of these units within Pineview Village. We acknowledge and are in receipt of the planner's letter, engineer's letter, and fire department letter. So we understand that those are contingencies for approvals. And we'd like to request approval tonight so we can move this forward. Should show you, here's the architectural rendering, which I believe was in your package as well.
Yep.
So it shows 2-car garages for every unit, as well as 2 parking spaces in the driveways, so we're well in exceedance for required parking for the development.
Forgive me if you have this on your plan, my printer can't print that, the size that I can actually see any detail on. The lighting for the street lighting, what's your plan for that? Is there gonna be post lighting, is it ambient lighting from the garages?
Because the units are relatively close to the road, by the way, there is the sidewalk, we're using the coach lights on the garages.
I presume it's much.
That makes for a very low level lighting, but sufficient for the sidewalks.
It's more aesthetic terms.
And those lights aren't controlled by the homeowner.
Photocell. They're on photocells.
So reading through this, there was an issue with the grinder pumps in the sewers.
So, well, I mean, it wasn't an issue as much as it was clarification of whether they would be public or private, if they would be private.
Okay, so you have no issues with complying with the letters from MHOG and the engineer and,
And they were just general comments at
Okay.
this point anyway. I mean, we're gonna be submitting detailed construction documents to them, so we'll be getting those letters.
and the drain commissioner is all right with what
Yes,
you're proposing?
in concept with where we're at today, yes.
Okay.
Again, as part of the process, we moved into construction plans that were much more detailed than the plans before you this evening. Those get submitted to the township engineer, drain commissioner's office, MHOG, and they'll all review those before we come back to you folks.
So you mentioned this is basically a continuation of the project or the development that's already there. Would that be a correct statement? The Pineview Village?
This 8.5 acres was originally part of Pineview.
It just was not developed
It was not.
back then, right?
Correct.
Okay. And do you know, you mentioned the property to the north. Do you know what, if anything's planned for that since it's the same owner?
So it was approved as a PUD back in 2016, and it was for, I believe, 110 small lot, single family homes. I believe that PUD has since expired, but that was previously approved by the township.
Okay. But nothing on your radars that you're aware of?
Nothing at this time.
Okay, I'm just wondering how it plays into this development too, because are they gonna be connected? Is there gonna be a pass-through road or anything of that nature?
We've made provision for a potential connection in the future. Again, we want to make sure we do compatible land use, but there's sufficient distance between these buildings for potential future connection. But Brewer, Meadows also has connection out to us.
Brewer, I would imagine Brewer, correct? And Paul, if they're gonna meet the setback, maybe it's for you, if they're gonna meet the setbacks, we really have no option to say they need to continue it all the way back? And you're not willing to do that, correct?
Well, we would prefer to utilize as little of the Brewer Meadows property as possible because of the future density, et cetera, for that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see the layout of those structures isn't straight across, it's curved.
Yeah.
So
Makes
that,
sense.
that extension at those residences, those two on the right, is gonna be much deeper on those two on the left. Which already has pretty sufficient back area, those spots.
And I think another thing I noticed on the landscaping that we need to decide is on the, I believe it would be the east side. There is no proposed landscaping, but there is the natural trees, foliage that's there, but it's quite a distance away. I'm trying to recall.
The distance between the
Between
actual Brewer Road and
the development.
The development. I can give you a rough estimate.
And the nearest building to Brewer Road proposed is about 600 feet.
Yeah.
And this is a combination of wetland and woodlands in this open space area that's adjacent to Brewer.
So me personally, I don't have any issue with not putting any landscaping on that side of the building, so.
It's preferable to keep the natural features rather than
Yeah.
clear cutting and putting in shrubs. Or pine trees or decorative trees, you know.
Yeah, this is
That's part of the appeal, I'm sure, of the property. is the
Yeah, it's a
natural
classic
features.
case of we don't want to take out trees to build a berm and smaller trees. So we feel that the buffering, especially given the distance of the building, is the best option.
And I suppose the question is the health of the existing trees. I mean, is it a healthy mini
Yeah.
forest or
Yep, it
is
is.
that just a bunch of standing
There
dead wood?
is an overhead line that bisects it, so there's about a 20-foot width is cleared, but the rest is combination of smaller, more mature trees. And as you come further west, there are a bunch of pines back in there. Those aren't visible from Brewer, I don't believe.
Is that property to the east developable? I mean, can you build on that to the east?
Yes, in fact, previous plan, the previous Pineview plan did have units extending over into this area.
But they're not, I mean, is that forecasted in the future? Do you have any idea or?
It is not at this time,
Okay.
no.
That might be an issue with landscaping then on the east side, but not at this point, I don't believe.
Right. Okay, do you have any further questions or comments? Thoughts, proposed solutions? Okay, so we entertain a motion for the preliminary site plan review of UC 2026-08, Pineview Village Phase 2.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve, conditionally approve the preliminary site plan for PC 2026-08 Pineview Village Phase 2, subject to the compliance with the Drain Commissioner, MHOG, Township Engineers, any outstanding issues in the Township's Planner's Report, with the exception of the setback and the fire reports. Did I miss any?
Just for clarification here, with the exception of the property line adjustment, because they'll still have to meet the setbacks.
Correct, the
Okay.
the property line adjustment.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion from Mr. Bold. We have a second.
Mr. Can I get clarification on the landscaping?
I'm okay with not allowing the landscaping on the east side. I don't know if everyone else is. So with the exception of not landscaping the east side of the property.
Yeah, retaining the natural features as opposed to.
Correct.
Requirements, yes.
Does retaining the natural.
That's fine, I just need to know, so that we put it in the letter, they get it, we all know what we're complying to.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Ball, a second from Mr. Stanley. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, sir. Next up, we have the Soapy Bucket Amendment to the approved site plan for PC 2026-09.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yep, so the applicant has come back for an amendment to the site plan in order to allow for phasing of the construction. So they're proposing three and a half phases, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3A and B. Phase 1 would be the construction of the road and the utilities that go along the north side of the property to provide access to the site. Phase 2 would allow for the construction of the building that would house the detail shop and the RV wash and the associated parking. I should mention that during phase 1, they are putting in a temporary detention pond to collect the stormwater from that roadway. And then in phase 3A and 3B, they would construct all the lighting, the landscaping, the pond, the permanent pond, and then ultimately the car wash building itself. So we have looked at this. They are showing all of those phases on one plan. As you're probably aware, in order to do phasing, that has to be demonstrated on the preliminary site plan, and then each final phase can come back with a final site plan or construction plans. So after looking at this a couple of times and getting some clarification on what they're proposing, it doesn't look like they're intending to occupy the building after phase 2. So we really don't have a big issue with them doing this in those phases, as long as they submit their final site plan that clearly indicates exactly what they'll be constructing during each of those site phases. Essentially, it's the same project that you've seen before.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. This was the same plan, overall plan that was submitted previously, but rather than one construction project, we're breaking it up. So there's no major structural changes to the design layout or the temporary retaining basin.
You got it.
Okay.
Just-
Any questions or follow-ups with our plan?
Just to clarify a little bit, Paul, the only reason it had to come back because of the phasing needed to be approved at the preliminary site plan, which would have been 3 years ago? 23, does that sound?
I believe so, but I think they got an extension
Okay.
in the mid-time.
So it's a procedural thing. And at this point, we don't have any problems with the phasing.
I don't have any problems with the concept of the phasing, the way they've laid it out, the way they've broken it up. But obviously, the final engineering for each of those plans will need to be submitted and reviewed by our engineers to ensure that everything will function in the phases. Yep.
Thank you.
sir.
Hi, you want me to continue then?
Yes, yes,
Patrick-
please, I'm sorry, let us hear from the applicant.
Patrick Clary, also with Boss Engineering, colleague of Brent's, and then Russ Springborn is the owner. So we've been working on the project. We did get, as Paul pointed out, there was an extension. Pretty much the idea behind the phasing is the township requires the 100% construction bond, and it's intended to kind of just manage that from a feasibility, constructability standpoint. So as Paul said, there is a private road here that would be part of phase one that would also contain the water and sanitary utilities. In pretty much this area right in here would be a temporary basin, so that the stormwater from that paved road would be controlled. And that has been reviewed with the Drain Commission. And then I guess just incidentally, got Oak Road here, 59 here, and the creek that comes down through here. So this road would be pretty much directly across from Kroger's. So there are no changes there. So phase one would be putting in utilities, putting in the road, the streetlights in that area. Phase two would be completing the utilities with the lift station, making the utilities, or the services at least functional. But that piece of equipment is fairly expensive in itself, so that becomes a phase. Then we get into phases 3A and B. So the phase 3A would be what was considered the detail shop, and then there would be parking associated with that, and the permanent basin, because the temporary basin is about in that same area. The permanent basin would be constructed at the same time. And then finally, the main car wash building and the associated paving and other things to finish that off. Again, the intent is to be fairly consecutive construction, very little pauses in between, but they would then, and so that the intent is not to, well, you couldn't, the intent is not to occupy any of the areas until everything is done. So, but it would be, I guess we're trying to follow technically the rules of the road in terms of how that is sequenced. But it's more from I guess from a practical approach, and that the intent is still to complete the entire facility.
Do you have any ideas of timeline? And I'm not asking for a start date and an end date, but from breaking ground till washing cars.
Well, the bids are coming in right now for the road and utilities, and I would expect them to start next month.
Then through the completion of 3B, is that like a 6-month project, a year project?
That's a long project.
It seems like a long project,
The purpose right now is to get the road in, because that's all approved with road commission, everything, get the road in, get the main utilities in, and then get the pumping station completely done, and that has to be its own power source. So that will be independent from the car wash as far as power, and the generator that supplies that will be independent. Because depending on what happens to the rest of the land or whatever, that needs to be
self-sufficient.
Self-sufficient. And I think we were turning the pump station on.
It's designed to meet the township standards, correct?
Yes, so we'll have the generator and everything, the transformer, and that will be independent, including the streetlights will be part of the transformer.
A separate transformer. The main power to the facility is in this area. So this would be fully, would be separate initially and down the road, so that it could stand on its own. If there was never a car wash built.
That's a whole lot smaller geometry. Like a facility.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, sure.
Do you have any idea how long the pauses are gonna be between phases?
well, part of the pause is because, of the fully 100% bond of the township. That's a big bond. And if you give the percentage away on the bond, you're giving away hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're just giving. So the purpose of the phase is so I can fund the bond myself. That's really the purpose of the phases.
No, well, yeah, the purpose, but do you know how long that pause would be between?
Well, we'll get the road in, and then probably in the spring will probably be the pumping station. And then we would look into there, right after that to get started on the rest.
So probably by the end of next summer?
It will take longer than that to build.
And there's a lot of variables involved here too, that you can't predict, so.
But their plan would be to start the utilities, next month. Start with the utilities and possibly get the road in before winter. That would be the goal. October is usually a iffy month. Sometimes we got snow on Halloween, sometimes we don't. So last year, when we built the other car wash in Genoa, we poured concrete in January. So the concept is to start right away. The bids are coming in now, for the utilities. So when the road goes in, everything will go in and it will be completely, graded, seeded, blanketed. So both sides of the road will be completely done.
Now, it makes total sense to break it up into mini projects for the bonding. It makes absolute sense. So you take the bonds from A to B versus A, B, C.
But I appreciated what Paul did as far as, when you do phases, you don't, and it talked about abandonment. How did you guys decide what would encompass each phase?
So this, the pumping station, is really the first phase of the entire 30 acres. So that road can be used as the backland. The pumping station can be used for any land. So phase 1 and 2 is for the entire property.
So the property that goes up this way, Mr. Springborn also owns, so that lift station is sized for, the RUs that were allocated, to that entire property. So if, for whatever reason, that didn't happen, this would still be available for other things that happen, so I guess that's what we're considering, that it stands on its own.
Okay, that's.
So all the RUs were paid already, and the pumping station is adequate for all the RUs for entire property.
So I remember when this project first came through, and since then, it's been a little bit. I think we talked, it's been 3 years. Is the concept for a car wash still feasible there? Because I know there's been an explosion of them in the county, right, in the surrounding areas.
The biggest problem I'm having right now is all of 96 being shut down because Howell was too busy. The traffic in downtown Howell is too busy. You can't get in and out of the businesses. You can't. It would be simple to come out and turn right, but you can't even turn right because that particular intersection is backed up a half a mile bumper to bumper, and they just won't let you out. So I am down about 25% at that facility.
For this one here?
No.
Okay. You're talking about your other one.
Grand River.
Okay.
That's doing quite well because you don't enter on Grand River. But the exit is closed.
Right.
So a lot of people go down Grand River and get on the freeway. So I am feeling that. And that's been down most of the year.
But you still feel there's a market for this one? Because this one was going to be have the RV wash, and it was going to be a little more.
Yes, and with technology, it's actually changed in the last 2 years.
Okay.
So the RV one is similar to the touchless one that's in Lawson. But it's big enough to do a complete RV without touching it.
Okay. The other question I had was the temporary detention pond. There were some concerns with the phasing, and I think it was worked out that the phasing was changed a little bit to accommodate
Well,
that.
that actually related to the permanent one.
Right.
So.
But you had a temporary one
originally
that
there
was,
4 phases, but for the detail shop where it was standing on its own, that occupies the temporary basin footprint essentially. So then as part of this construction, the permanent basin would be constructed so that if the main car wash wasn't constructed, you could theoretically utilize the detail shop and that would meet all the requirements. So again, it could stand on its own. So that was the only adjustment that was changed, to meet that comment. And I guess just incidentally, the temporary basin, was actually designed so that, because there is a fair amount of, this is a pretty hilly site, and there is significant amount of grading, so that basin basically fits in kind of a pocket that is gonna be there in the future. And so we're kind of grading up halfway and stopping, so to speak. And so then when you do the rest of it, you just grade all the way up. So again, it's a fairly efficient way of doing it. But that's also, on the downside is where the detail shop needs to be, so then that basin will eventually have to move. But it does work out with all the different components.
Most of the water from the road heads out towards Oak Road.
my only question was that you're gonna put a temporary basin in when you need to build a permanent one at the end of the project anyway. So, I mean, that makes sense to you apparently to put a temporary one in now? Or some people might think that the main one's never coming, so.
Well, the amount of catch basins that you have back here is minimum to the road footage that goes to the front, which is the catch basin that goes down Oak Road.
Okay,
So it's not like that entire road's going back there, it's not.
okay.
It's going to the front, and that catch basin is going in, and it goes under, for approval. So that one is going in.
Is there any plans, I know you own the property behind it too, or to the north of there, is there any plans for that in the future? No? Okay, thank you.
But the pumping station will accommodate.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty heavy,
It's a big pumping station.
yes, yeah, sounds,
Well, that's good to be thinking forward, because I'm a firm believer that it's better to have it not need it than need it not have it.
Because it will cover all the REUs for the car wash and back there, which I think is, I'm guessing, 160 something REUs.
Something in that realm, yeah.
Remember the numbers.
160 or 170.
It's actually, it's a bigger initial investment, but it's a lot less cost than doing it twice, so.
Okay, do we have any further questions for our applicant? Hearing none, can we entertain a motion?
And, I just draw, everybody's attention to the recommendations that said a final site plan shall be submitted for each phase that has to go into them.
No, of course, that's gotta be part of the plan. Anybody? You?
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion.
Thank you, sir.
For PC 2026-09, the Soapy Bucket, property 4706-25-200-048, to amend the site plan to allow for the phasing with an updated site plan laying out all the phasing. With a final site plan shall be submitted for each phase according to section 20.12. And, however, no part of phase 3A or 3B shall be occupied until the entire phase is complete. Thank you.
Okay, any suggested amendments? A second, sir? We have a motion, Mr. Stanley, a second, Mr. Algen.
Mr. Chair.
Sure.
I might just suggest this. I know we suggested that a final site plan needs to be submitted for each phase. I believe that this current phase, their intent is that they are showing final site plan design for phase 1 right now. So you could approve the amendment to the preliminary in addition to a final site plan for phase 1, contingent on getting their final engineering review. Is that what your intent was with this plan?
That'd be appreciated.
Okay.
Okay, so, amendment is that this,
This approval would also include the
this
final
approval
site plan
also
for phase
includes
1.
the final site plan for phase A. The 1A is the?
Phase 1.
Phase 1.
Phase 1. Thank you.
Subject to the township engineer's report, if you needed
And
that.
pending, of course, the approval of the engineering report and,
Outside agencies, yes.
thank you, Paul.
Yep, and so that would be up to you if you want to amend your motion to include that.
So we'll amend the motion to include the approval of final site plan 1. That's what we're looking for, right?
Yeah, and subject to approval from,
The township
the
engineer.
engineer and, I think Hog's fine with it, because it's not deviating from the initial plan. Okay, we have an amended motion? Is there a second still? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
We got lost in all
No, you can sit here and think, it's not that bad. Sit down and you're under the gun to do it. There's always something you want to say. Okay, next item up is our newly added item C under business items. Basically a discussion about our data center from our resident research committee, which we have a member.
I timed it, 3 minutes. Give or take a few seconds. I'm pretty sure we have touched on this in the past, but it's been a while, and we presented it probably in context of a bunch of other things. So I think it is one of the more important yet simple things that it would be in an ordinance. So talking about PUE versus TUE, which is the power use effectiveness metric versus the total use effectiveness metric. So the PUE has been the standard measure of comparing how efficiently data centers power their computing equipment. It is a fairly standard metric regulated in data center ordinances across the country. It began being used in around 2007 when the Green Grid wrote about how to manage the growing dependence on data centers in our society without straining the power grid and the environment. It's a relatively simple ratio of dividing the total facility's energy consumption by the power consumed by the IT equipment. When data centers were primarily using, they were smaller, using CPU servers, they were able to use like room level air conditioning as their main cooling. So this metric was reasonably useful. However, as AI and GPUs have begun taking over, with their increased power demand and therefore heat generation and cooling power demand, liquid cooling has taken over as the most efficient means of cooling.
So PUE has largely become outdated and obsolete as it does not adequately capture a facility's power use effectiveness because liquid cooling influences both the IT power, which is the denominator, and the total facilities power, which is the numerator. Even NVIDIA, the top GPU producer, calls PUE an ineffective efficiency metric for AI workloads. So alternatively, TUE, or total use effectiveness, is a calculation pioneered by Oak Ridge National Laboratory and addresses these shortcomings. It combines PUE with another ratio called ITUE, which is basically server level efficiency, to create a ratio of the total energy, both external and internal support energy, to the specific energy actually used for computation. To quote one of the sources, put simply, while PUE tells you how efficiently your facility delivers power to IT equipment, TUE tells you how efficiently that power is used to do actual computing work. And it does so by accounting for power losses that PUE ignores. The inaccuracies in calculating PUE also allow for some manipulation, such as by including the power for rack level cooling in the IT power component. Modern data centers are easily achieving a PUE very close to 1.0. So utilizing a modern metric designed to reflect what is happening in modern data centers will help ensure the township has an accurate picture of a facility's power use effectiveness. A good TUE is between 1.1 and 1.25. An additional benefit of this metric is that it will inherently push facilities to use some of the most advanced cooling systems available, which are desirable for a number of other reasons as well. One of the supervisors in Loudoun County, Virginia, which is Data Center Alley, recommended municipalities require a TUE of 1.15 or better, which falls in that range I just mentioned. As we have mentioned before, Loudoun County is experiencing a significant electrical grid crisis due almost entirely to the large number of data centers in their region. We've referenced this white paper report in the past, so if you haven't read it yet, it may be of interest if you'd like to learn more about this issue. He doesn't necessarily talk about TUE specifically, but more like the history of how they got to where they are. And then this recommendation is towards the end of the report. So we have suggested heeding Loudoun County's recommendation so that we might avoid following the same path that they have found themselves on. So that's that. I hope that kind of helps explain the difference. But basically it's, we're facing these modern data centers with different types of servers and cooling, and this calculation more accurately reflects what's actually happening with the modern facilities. That's all.
So
Loudoun County is our guinea pig.
Yeah.
We should use TUE is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kristen, how do we go about, maybe this question for Bob, actually, with in-depth statistics like this and very information derived, like, I don't know how to articulate this, but when there's things like Data Center Alley, that's probably much more robust of a township and more prepared than Howell Township is, and has more resources to attack these types of stats and track them and follow them. How do we approach this as a township of our size and try to manage important information like this long term?
I think one of the things we've kind of consistently suggested, like emphasizing in the language of the ordinance, was like making sure that they're like independent third-party specialists calculating, like, or reviewing the calculations, stuff like that, so that they're paying for it through their escrow, but that the township knows that they're getting independent verification of what the TUE would be. I don't know if that answers the question or.
That number's gonna fluctuate as technology changes.
Yeah, it'll never be exactly 1.0 because that would mean literally every bit of power is going to the IT equipment, but obviously there's lights and stuff. So, but yeah, 1.15 is pretty close to 1, so.
So to attempt to answer your question, I think there's certainly precedent set for a community to require front-end studies and reports and then verify those independently through our own staff or consultants. And there's definitely precedent that's been set for taking escrow accounts to offset that cost so the township's not paying for the review of a developer's development, but using our own independent consultants to ensure that we're getting accurate information. As far as ongoing reporting and ongoing fees to offset those costs, that would be a new precedent to be set. So that's something that we're actually kind of grappling with right now as we're putting this report together, or putting this ordinance together. So that will require further discussion both by the committee and potentially further input from our legal counsel. We've sent a number of questions that we've received feedback and helped us to get to the draft that we have now. But this is one that was actually something we were discussing in the past, 24, 48 hours actually. So it's a great question. More to come.
So could the ordinance limit them to the 1.15, or is there merit on this?
Yeah, so we don't control those utilities. We can evaluate usage on the front end, I think, from a infrastructure capacity standpoint. So like just with any of our developments, we ask that question, is there existing infrastructure or capacity to support what's being proposed? Do we have the ability to limit it for the possibility of future energy needs? That's a question. That is a question.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to give a little bit of an update because we all kind of lucked out tonight because we didn't get the ordinance here. But originally our intention was to have a subcommittee meeting and the ordinance presented to the full PC tonight. Paul, we're waiting with bated breath. We do have a subcommittee meeting scheduled, I believe the 1st. Is it the 1st? September the 1st?
It's the 31st. It's next Monday.
Is it? It's a Monday. Okay.
I didn't know that.
And then hopefully after that, at our next PC meeting, we should be presenting it to.
Oh, I didn't check the hour.
We're not gonna allow anything else on that agenda, right?
Well, we'll see about that. So I'm assuming you're close or have a draft, and we will take a look at that as a subcommittee, and hopefully we can get it all back to the full PC back then. On a separate issue, we had MTA produced a sample ordinance today. I don't know if you've seen that one. Yeah, they put a sample ordinance out. It's encouraging to see it has a lot of things that we're concerned with. Also, last night at the County Board of Commissioners approved a resolution for countywide sound ordinance.
to say something during public.
So you were there.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
was
so you would know more. I mean, I watched it, but they're going to work with the health department to do some sound. I mean, they're going to come up with a sound ordinance for the county. So where that's going to go from, I don't know, but
I think it might be specifically for like industrial solar and battery energy facilities. Like the intention was to be a sound protective or health protective sound ordinance relating to those uses. And there was some discussion about, well, are they actually that noisy? And so my comment was actually about how, from a health standpoint, as you guys may recall, when I talked about decibels and the noise ordinance, it's not the nuisance. I mean, that's a concern for sure, but again, in terms of health, it's the lower frequencies that you can't necessarily hear. And so the board's language in the resolution recommended some limits in the A-weighted decibels, and I said, you really ought to have this in C-weighted decibels so you're actually addressing health, because the numbers you're proposing don't do that at all. So anyways, I'll be at County Health Advisory Committee meeting in a few weeks.
You know, I don't have.
You like to expert
that was all I had, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to kind of give an update where we're at and get ready for hopefully next month.
Mr. Ball, when the county makes that recommendation, that it's just a recommendation, correct? It's not something that governs.
A resolution? It's in its infancy right now. It'll just be a resolution. I imagine they would pass.
resolution to direct the health department to create and pass an ordinance, like a health ordinance. St. Clair County is actually doing something similar. I think it's been tied
Came
up
out
in some legal challenges.
Yes, on
But
the
there was
24th
something
yesterday.
else wrapped up with their sound ordinance that seems to be the subject of contention, not necessarily the sound portion.
So if a project arrived here, would that have to include that resolution?
To be determined, I guess. I mean, hopefully we'll have something on the books before the county gets done, but we'll see.
Well, again, I think it was just for solar and noise.
Yeah, that's what.
Or, sorry, solar and noise.
But it may be something we need, I think we do need to look at our solar ordinance, because when we passed that, all the sound information hadn't been revealed, so, but that's another issue.
Making sure it's on my calendar.
Glad you said something, Tim.
What night was it? Was it the 3rd or was it?
31st.
31st, okay, and it was a Monday.
Yeah.
6 o'clock, right?
Yeah, I would have been sitting at home if you didn't say anything.
Okay, this takes us to our second call to the public. Please, welcome. Say your name and address and,
Denny Percola, 3460 Mason Road. I just wanted to request, since you guys did mention it in the deliberation earlier, that the master plan is somewhat outdated. So I'm wondering how we can get that moving.
we did propose to review and, update the master plan. It's a bit of a process. It's nothing we can just put on an agenda and do in an evening. Paul, correct me if I misspeak here, because it's a detailed thing. We have to put out notice of public, offer for input through either maybe the website, the survey, have meetings that are open for the public to come in and give their feedback. So that's to help steer our decisions and what we do. So that, I mean, we're all residents here, except for Paul. And, we want to do what's best for the township. And to do that, we need input from our neighbors, our folks who live and work here.
Yeah, and I know the last one had a very low turnout because I did it and it was very low.
We have to explore best ways of doing that. We've mentioned things like maybe being able to sign up for an email list. So you might get bombarded with meetings for, these meetings and township board meetings and ZBA meetings if we ever have them ever again. They're very sparse now.
I think with everything going on with the data centers, it'll be more, I think people will be more receptive.
Sure, yeah, this could be a spike.
Yeah.
And once that's hammered out and in the rear view, our mailing list may dwindle to 5. But be it as it may, I mean, if we want to get information out there, it's just a matter of making folks aware of that we have it and it's available, and please come get it. There's also notifications in the paper that are done as well, I believe, correct?
I think moving to an email system makes a lot of sense in 2026. I mean, I haven't touched the newspaper and I can tell you how
I
it
get
is.
it. Yeah,
Even
it's,
when there's the notice of something happening within 300 feet of your home, I think is also out there. I mean, there's ways to notify the public in 2026 that we're just not.
agreed, that's a historical requirement, the newspaper.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely do want to get the news out there. I mean, there's no reason not to. I mean, the more the merrier. As long as you don't come with, torches and pitchforks, we're good. Okay, anything else from the crowd at large?
Mr. Chair, I do have one additional thing. So there was a news article from Bethel Suites about some development in Howell Township about some affordable housing. Maybe Jonathan, I know I was questioned about whether or not where this was in the township and what was happening, but did anyone see the article?
No.
Okay.
It seems to ring a bell, I can't quite put it with Bethel Suites though.
So it's gonna be, on Burkhart Road, just south of, 96. There's 4 lots apparently. They're gonna be single-family homes. That's why we won't see it at a planning commission, as far as we know at this point, right? Won't come here. I think that now they've purchased the lots and they're in the process of getting utilities to them, if I remember correctly, John. Correct me if I'm wrong, because this is your
You're right
neck
so
of the
far.
woods. But it's just, if anybody asks, you know that it's there, and it's an interesting concept. If you read the article about how they're gonna try to keep them affordable, but they're gonna be smaller homes and meant to be affordable. But it's only 4 homes at this point.
Don't we have a requirement of a minimal single-family home square footage?
I believe our zoning administrator's on top of that, and it's gonna meet those specifications.
Yeah, I seem to remember discussing that during the accessory dwelling, the ADU discussion of what a home could be. It was like 1,000 square feet.
900.
What's that?
It's 900.
Thousands a better number.
I didn't write it.
Are those for veterans then?
No, they didn't specify who they were for. They just said they were gonna be affordable housing.
Oh,
So-
because in Bethel Suites, aren't they, veteran?
I don't-
And they're a block away from the new houses that are $4,000 or 400,000 starting.
It's 4 individual lots, like they come right out the Burkhart, and they're south of the mobile home community, the manufactured home community there, Burkhart Ridge.
Sure.
So. Oh, that was it.
You know, I wanted to say that I really like the new township website. There's a lot of effort put into that and money well spent.
Thank you.
This kind of shiny. It's a dramatic improvement.
I couldn't get in for like a week though. But good job.
Okay, if we have nothing further, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Ball, second from,
Second.
Everybody else.
second from Mr. Bowman. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.